And we are live. Folks, it's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to share in this segment of the 90-day social media run. Just looking for my Facebook Live here so I can see you guys. There we go. Okay. And we are ready to go. Okay, so today's training, by the way, this is day 58. Again, congratulations to those of you that are following, those of you that are giving us the thumbs up, those of you that are giving us hearts, that are taking the time to comment, that are actually doing their dares, their assignments. Thank you and congratulations for doing that. And listen, if you haven't done them, that's totally cool. Keep them into your toolbox, but I do recommend you practice, because if you never practice them, I guarantee you a month from now you won't even know these features exist. So take the time to go through them, and again, we always welcome your post into the group that is relevant to this 90-day run, that is relevant to Max International content. Now, today it's about contacting influencers. That's what today is all about. And if you recall, I forgot what training this was, but I know either Dr. James or myself did this one. Is to find, we did a session on finding your dream 50. I don't know if you recall that. And if you haven't done that, I do suggest that you, as you're doing this dare, as you're listening to this particular segment today, what I recommend is that you start accumulating your dream 50s. And again, what is your dream 50? Well, your dream 50 are the ideal prospect, or the ideal person that has interests, right? The interest on what it is that you are providing, that you are interested in, that you find will be the perfect prospect that has the right interest in reference to what it is that you do and what you provide as an opportunity or as a product, which falls into the customers, right? That has the ideal customers. For example, we happen to be in a health environment. What you're looking for are people that are actually interested in health, that are interested in elevating their immune system. On the other hand, also is team members, the ideal team members. So in other words, number one is influence, the people that you have their interest to participate into, that you have the interest participate into what they're doing, that may have an interest participating on what you're doing. Two is, again, I'm just recapping here, is the interest on your products, right? Or that are in line with what the interest is with what we're offering. And as you know, what we offer with Max International is so, it could be so generic, because, we're living in an immune deprived society. So what we have to offer can apply to almost everybody, right? And number three is team members, right? Uplifting people that have a winning attitude, people that that you want to interact with, that are they're taking action, right? So this is what you're looking for. So that's what the ICT means. That's your dream 50. So if you haven't done that, I do recommend you do this, because it will serve you well. Now, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to do an example of traveling. The reason is because Frazer talks about traveling, and really, even if traveling is not what we do, it could be a good connection, because every one of us have travel. And again, it doesn't really matter where you went in the world, or which province, or which which city you might have been. At the end of the day, the topic of traveling could be quite easy to get into, right? So, for example, I'm going to use the example of traveling to Australia, okay? And you're planning to go there. And what you want to do is you want to interact with groups of people, the group that are at least a minimum of 5,000 people, right? And again, when you start, and I'll come back to that in a minute when you do your posts, but before you do your posts, you want to make sure you don't waste your time in a group that don't interact. There's very little people. People don't participate. Again, you're just going to be wasting your time. So you want to be focusing on groups that are active, but you have to be very careful on how you go about it. And this is what we want to talk to you about. Okay. So let's go back to this example where I'm traveling to Australia. Okay. Or at least I'm planning to maybe travel to Australia, but your message would be, and as an example in that particular group, for example, an Australian group that talks about some of the activities and some of the things that you can do over there. use your imagination. I'm usually using that, and that could keep in mind you can use any examples that you want. I'm just using that as an example, right? And for example, in your post, it says, "Hey guys, I'm planning to go to Australia in about a month from now. Where do you suggest I should go?" And I'm telling you, I think it's human nature of certain pride. Where if I happen to be Australian, or let's say you want to travel in Canada, I happen to be Canadian, Canada, right? Canadian, and I'm saying, you know what, you should really. I'm going to go back to Canada because I know a lot about Canada. You may want to go to Alberta. Um, there's it's absolutely breathtaking, right? In fact, I suggest that you go to Banff. The mountains are so majestic. It's just beautiful. It's to die for. It was like sculptured by God. It's to die for, to look at, right? So I'm just giving you an example on the example I can relate to. But let's go back to the Australia. It says, I'm actually going to Australia. Where do you think I should go? What city should I go? Where should I be going? And you'd be curious. You'd be surprised on how many responses you can get. And if you don't get any response, that's so cool. Just go to another group until you start getting some responses. Okay. And one of the things that you want to do is when people start responding to you, you may want to respond as a quick, a quick, like you're grateful for the response, you're grateful for their comments, but don't start the conversation within the actual post. You want to take that into Messenger, and this is the point that's very important here. So you're putting your post, you're sharing your comment. People are going to start commenting on that. You may want to respond to them with a like or a heart, and then continue the conversation with someone. Hey, you mentioned Perth, and let me tell you why. I mean, Perth sounds like a really good place to go. Let's say people say Sydney, Perth, Sunshine Coast, the Sun Coast, whatever, and then you can go to every one of them, right? And then again on Messenger, you start prodding them. Why do you think I should go there? Well, what are your reasoning behind it? And you can even say, well, if when I choose to go to Perth, where should I stay? Which hotel would you recommend? So create an interaction. And again, people are naturally good human beings, right? And they just want to share things to, especially if it's their country, they're proud of their country, right? They want to vent about their country. They tend to respond. And that's why this could be a really, really good approach. Okay. And I can tell you what it has to do with the point of building your max business in a minute here. Okay. So you want to continue with Messenger, and you want to say something like, "Hey, thank Mary. I really appreciate the suggestion," and build rapport with them as you're thanking them. Right. And one thing that you also may want to consider here is, again, depending on how influenced they are in this group, you may want to be selective of who you want to ask this next question, right? So as you're starting to build rapport with that person, and you can feel that there's a connection that's being made there, and you'll know that by the response and by the interaction you get. And you may say something like, "By the way, Mary, this is an amazing group, by the way. Are you making money with this amazing group that you have? Are you monetizing this?" So, and let them respond. But the one thing that Frazer was suggesting is you can really start responding to folks that maybe responded to your post. But the real secret to success into this is, one is you want to work smart, and you may want to work with the influencers of that group. Now, generally, the people that are most responsive tend to be the admins, right? The people that are actually involved and created the group. Generally, it's usually what happens. But if not, one thing that you also may want to consider is find out who the admins are of this group, right? Find the admin, and again, in a private message in Messenger, what you may want to do here is just simply share with them how grateful you are with this amazing group. I mean, the information that you were able to get from this group was so helpful to be able for you to be decisive on where you want to go. So again, what's important is that you share a compliment. That is absolutely critical. And as you share the compliment, right, the next question may be, is, are you monetizing your, are you earning an income from all the work and the effort that you're doing in this group? Because honestly, you have an amazing group. And you know what the reality is, folks? Is most people, I would say 8%, and we're talking some groups that are absolutely phenomenal, that provide such incredible value, but it's not being monitored. Not not monitoring, but monetarized, if you understand my meaning, right? And that, for example, the group, the Crowdlining Global Impact, it's not monetarized at all. It's basically free for everybody to take advantage of, despite the fact that some of us spend enormous resources to get that information, to make it available to you. The gain is, as you become more successful in building your business by utilizing these wonderful, powerful tools, then volume increase. When volume increase, then people's paychecks increases, right? But it's very generic, right? So that's where the gain is. But in some cases, some folks are just not, and then you may trigger an interest. By the way, are you making money with this amazing group? And one thing that you may want to ask them is, by the way, I have a couple ideas that you can utilize to monetize this group. And of course, there might be people that might be a little bit resistant. They may feel, well, you know what, I don't want to offend my people by providing, opportunities and things like this. And again, these are all things that will be discussed in a comment. And that's why you want to do this in a messenger group, and not in in a messenger app, and not necessarily in the actual group following the post. This is really, really, really important you get that, because it's kind of private, if you understand what I mean, right? But the fact here is that the title of this session is, you want to work with influencers. And when you do a post like the one that I shared with you a moment ago about, I'm going there and where should I go? And then as people start responding, I would really focus on the admin. And there's multiple admin, just individually respond to each admin. And I wouldn't go more than 3, okay? Because you don't want to be also, they might be talking among each other, says, yeah, I got the same message from this guy. So again, just use your common sense on that, okay? But the fact here is that the goal is that the message, if you get this particular segment, is some people have very good groups with some very, very powerful content that are providing a really good service to society, but it's not being monetized. And you can bring in an opportunity in a very soft approach. And I can give you an example that I would do. For example, I would say, if let's say Mary happens to be the admin of this group, I would say something like this. Mary, I really, really appreciate this group. I really do. It's been really helpful. Now, remember, I wouldn't do one post and that's it. It's probably good to do one post and a few comments and another post and a few comments, and so people know who you are. And this is another thing that's very important, is they get to know who you are if you keep coming back, you're putting hearts, you're putting likes, you're adding a little comment, a little compliment, right? So they understand, oh, that's Chris. He keeps coming back, and he tends to like her stuff over here. And, oh yeah, that's the guy that's going to Australia. He was, you know what I mean? So that now there's a reference, and this is the kind of thing that is very important in these kind of communities: is repetition, consistency, congruency, and sharing information, so they tend to recognize you. It's like, think of yourself going to a meeting, right? And you see the same people coming to that meeting on a regular basis. Guess what? Eventually, what happens is you recognize that person, they recognize you, and there can be even a friendship that could develop from that. It's just common sense. Well, it's the same thing that I'm talking about into your Facebook group. So it starts with your Dream 50, and then you tend to want to find the admin, the person, the most influencer in that particular group, right? And then from there, especially if that person commented to one of your posts in reference to, for example, the travel example, and then you go back to Messenger, and then in Messenger, you interact with them. And by the way, I just wanted to mention, are you monetizing this group? Because you provide such a good service. And he says, no, I've never thought of that. And that's when you can say, well, I don't know if you're open, but I may have some ideas on how you can monetize your group. Would you be interested? They might be skeptical, but they might also be open. People today are looking for different stream of incomes, different ways to earn an income. And this could be something that could be very interesting. With Max International, we have so many different aspects where we have the affiliate side of things, we have the network marketing side of things, we have a customer aspect of things, right? So at the end of the day, what's happening here is, um, if you create familiarity and you create a sense of connection with people, for example, in the United States. Let's say you want to build your business and expand in the United States, or maybe you'd like to build your business in Kenya. Markets is doing really well there, right? And you happen to be living in Ghana, for example. Maybe the economy is not doing so well for the time for now, just for now. Things will evolve. Trust me. Nothing ever stays the same. But the point is, you may want to focus in different markets. Here's an opportunity for you to do that. And that recipe that we're giving you here could be something that could be really, really helpful for you. So here's the dare, here's the assignment. Go into your Facebook groups, okay, and start engaging with the obvious and clear influencers of those Facebook groups, okay? And if you haven't done your Dream 50, folks, as you're doing this assignment, it could be a way for you to start finding your first one if you haven't started. Maybe you've already had one or two or three, maybe there's a few of them you're following, right? But the fact is, start engaging with people that are clearly influencers in this group. Okay. And the fact is, the person, again, remember, that's getting the most engagement, the people that are doing the most activities in the group, that's what you want to interact with. Okay. Or what you also could do is go into Instagram and look for your Dream 50 there, okay, that you have created, maybe I've created by now, or start doing it now, or start looking for them now, and start engaging, right? And that's intentionally, sometimes my French kicks in here, to build some visibility, and that's what's important, okay? And when you've done about five, once you've done that, where, maybe the fifth day or the sixth day or the seventh day, that you started interacting with them and comment them, then it could be an opportunity to ask the questions to the influencer. Are they open to hear about how you can help them to monetize or to create in an environment where they can monetize their group? But what's very important here, in conclusion, folks, as I'm telling you this, is you don't want to go right into, hey, are you interested in buying my product, and sending pictures of your products, and I'm looking for team members to grow my expanding. I mean, no, I wouldn't be interested in that. I says, no, I don't know you. I don't trust you. And that's the whole point, is people do business with you because they know you, like you, trust you. That's the reality of it. And in social media, that's what we're learning. This is what we're teaching. This is what we're doing, is to, how can we transfer what we used to do in real life, face to face, by meeting people, like you're going, like I said, the example, you meet someone, you see someone, and after the third, the fifth, or the sixth, or the seventh time, there's a relationship, there's a union that's occurring there, a chemistry of some kind that could go into any kind of levels, you understand my meaning. But the point here is, you're in a better position to start asking questions like that. And if they're influencers, well, the chances are that if, let's say, they choose to come on board, they don't come alone. They'll come with folks with them. So when you're sponsoring that one person, you may end up sponsoring 20, 30 because of the influence, and because that person saw what it is you have and recognized that, my God, the world needs this stuff really bad, right? So again, I'm giving you some examples, but that's the point here. So overall, the point here is, you want to be contacting influencers. You want to build rapport with those influencers. And that may be going through a post and responses. And from there, continue into Messenger and continue building that rapport until you feel that it's warm enough where you can throw the idea, have you ever considered monetizing your group? Because it's such a phenomenal group that provides such a great service. That's it. That's all there is to it. So I hope that you're going to go ahead and apply this knowledge and actually do the assignment. because it could serve you well. These are the kind of assignments that can actually really grow your business. Again, this is Chris here from Daytona Beach, Florida, Crown Diamond with Max. It's a real pleasure. It was a pleasure to share with you today. Bye for now.